Listen, why would you listen to me? A 23-year-old who has no idea what he's doing. And you probably shouldn't. I'll be honest with you. But I've made enough mistakes and crawled out of dark places to feel like I can give some advice to a lot of young adults. And I'm not going to give you advice like from the other side of it as if I'm some 40-year-old that has it figured out. I'm some fucking millionaire. No, I'm in the thick of it, figuring out in real time. But more often than not, those are the stories that we need to hear because they're real, because they're like us. And I'm about to graduate. I am 23. I am a marketing major. The job market is cooked. I don't have any jobs lined up. I don't know what I'm going to do. And the things that I'm interested in really don't pay me. Right now, that's making YouTube videos, making video edits, and doing videography, photography, and doing MMA. But I have confidence that I will be able to turn my passions into something sustainable. But until this point, that hasn't been proven. So I'm going into a very uncertain and very unknown space. And I don't know how that's going to turn out. But there are some core premises that I believe in and that have helped me feel more confident as I've navigated my young adulthood, which is A, believe in something. And if you believe in nothing, believe in yourself. Also, that failure is necessary. And most importantly, you have to have fun. Most people are waiting to find something to believe in, just waiting for it to arrive. And I promise you that's not how it works. You create it. You don't find your meaning. You end up manufacturing it because no one told me that I should have all the interests that I do today. I think that these just came to me naturally through life experiences. And more often than not, that's how you figure out the things that you enjoy. Oh, I like playing soccer. Oh, I like reading. I like art. And you pursue those further. But you may look up to your peers, your parents, school, and they're going to tell you, oh, you should have your value system aligned with your job. Or you should do what your father did. Or you should do what your mother did. And these ideas will constantly be thrown at you, and it can be very difficult to silence them out because you're still trying to figure out what you actually want to do. And I promise you that calling is not just going to arrive at you naturally, that you get to build it through action. And this is more empowering than anything else because if you get to build your calling, then that means that you are never truly lost of purpose. I'll give you an example. When I needed to have a large change in my life because I tried to sleep with my best friend's girl. I was a bad person back then. And it destroyed my friendship. I decided that I needed to baptize myself. I realized that I needed change not because someone told me, but because I decided it. So I orchestrated my own metaphorical baptism after, meeting with my therapist and realizing that I was making a lot of bad decisions. I woke up the next day at 5 a.m. and I took my electric razor, and I drove to the nearest river. And as the sun came up, I shaved my head in the river and I dunked my head underneath and I baptized myself. And what this represented was that I was not content with the current state of my life. So I decided to write my own significant moment of change. And that's what a lot of young adults need to realize, that these significant moments are a mechanism for improving and changing your lives. And the fact that I'm 23 and I've already technically been baptized religiously was not a reason for me not to exercise my own metaphorical baptism, because I knew that I needed some type of pilgrimage or significant moment to represent to myself that I can move forward and I can be a better person. And that's a fact that you must hold in your head, is that you're never truly lost. And every attempt at change is a vote for who you're becoming, even the failed ones, because this change in my life is still a work in progress, but having that moment in my head means that it's something that I'm dedicated towards. And Camus actually wrote about this. He wrote about the absurd, that life has no inherent meaning, and that's terrifying. But his answer wasn't to despair. It was that life gives you the ability to create your own meaning. And so imagine Sisyphus, right? He's condemned to roll the boulder up the hill for the rest of his life, forever watching it roll back down the hill forever. And that sounds like a nightmare, but Camus angled it that Sisyphus is happy because life is the struggle itself. And so what if the boulder is yours and the hill is yours, and that pushing it up the hill is what gives it meaning? All of a sudden, the doors begin to open. And you don't want to wait for the universe to hand you a reason to pick up the boulder and go. So you kind of just have to write the story yourself. And in having these significant moments, whether it's shaving your head or a religious kind of pilgrimage or just like a moment of clarity for you, that is where you can enact change and actually create real meaning. And the baptism worked for me because it was what I decided it was. And I made the moment mean something. And so can you. I'll take an example. Let's take Conor McGregor. He was broke. He was living off of welfare in Dublin, and he was telling everyone that he would be a champion before he had any proof. And he manufactured that belief. And through making his struggle meaningful and writing his own story preemptively, he was actually able to turn his dreams into reality. And we should take that as inspiration, because you may be down and out. You may be in a place that you don't want to be. And that's most likely because you're a young adult, and therefore you need to have confidence at looking at the stories of others and realizing that as you start to write this meaning, you can get out of it. And if you believe in nothing, believe in yourself. Before you have proof, the views, the wins, the validation, there's a window where all you have is the decision to keep going. And that window is where most people quit. And I've personally struggled with this, where I ask myself, oh man, am I delusional? Should I just give up? Like, I don't really have proof that what I'm doing is going to make me successful. But confidence starts to come through action. So as I get these little wins, as people start to recognize my work, my videos, my editing, as people start to recognize my MMA skill, I start to believe that, oh, these things that I told myself that I could do, I started to get proof by it, step by step. And that's incredibly important, because each little baby step, even if it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, proves to your mind that self-belief is possible. And all these little pieces are what construct the greatest dreams, because you don't build a puzzle in one day. It takes time and dedication to figure out where everything fits, and sometimes you don't know where you're going. And that's totally okay, because most of the time, the people at the top are a bunch of idiots. Like, it's idiots all the way up. I promise you, they're not gods. They're not someone you should hold on a pedestal. They're just people who kept going and maybe got a little bit lucky. And I had reconstructive surgery on my joints, for instance, on both shoulders, both hips. And people told me to quit, that I shouldn't keep going with MMA or sports or my physicality. And that was even like family members, people that were meant to support me. And I said no. And maybe at that time that was a little bit like delusional, but that self-belief is what allowed me to push through the recovery. 2 years of recovery. And I came back strong. And now I'm training and performing at full capacity. And nobody gave me that belief. I had to manufacture it. And the way that I manufactured it was by constructing what I call like a castle in my mind. I envisioned myself as like, okay, I'm going to overcome this. I'm going to come back stronger. I'm going to be powerful. And I would literally like turn up music while I was driving and just scream like, no one can prove me wrong. I'm going to overcome. I believe in myself. And that fire really made me push through, because I upped the stakes. I said, I'm going to do this, and I had to hold myself to it. So don't be afraid to like call your shot early on. Like, you got to be a little cocky, all right? People are going to count you out. It's just the nature of humanity. And Nietzsche wrote about this, the Übermensch. He called it like self-overcoming, that, and it wasn't about being better than people. It was about becoming more fully of what you are, because most people live borrowed lives and borrowed beliefs and borrowed ambitions. And the Übermensch actually decides what they value for themselves rather than inheriting it from a crowd. So believing in yourself before you have proof is the most Nietzsche thing that you can do. And you're deciding your own value before the world confirms it. The potential is limitless. And the key to self-overcoming is not just one moment. It's the daily decision to keep going when nothing external is telling you to. And let's take an example. Some of the best fighters in the world are Muslim fighters. Like, let's take Khabib. But they train and win fights during Ramadan. They're fasting all day and training twice a day. And that conviction far transcends their circumstance, because their belief, their faith, their resolution is what allows them to actually perform at the highest of levels when they're not feeding or drinking in the way that their body demands. Isn't that beautiful? You can be at such a top level with such a degree of limitations, because power comes from your mind. And you got to remember, failure is necessary. Everyone says failure is okay, but nobody actually sits with what it means, because failure isn't a speed bump on the way to success. It is the way. The destruction is the journey, not a detour. And I promise you, it will be embarrassing. You will fall on your face. You feel like, fuck, oh my God, I'm starting from zero. But every little lesson where that fire burns inside of you, where that feeling of disgust, like how could I let this happen, will make you stronger. And it won't feel like that immediately, but in the days and the weeks where you slowly start to pick up yourself again and you take action towards your goals, you will realize, oh wait, I'm back where I was. Oh wait, I'm moving forward. And that will give you fire and confidence that outperforms anything else you had before. Because failure without reflection is just pain, but failure with reflection is growth. And I'll talk about this. When I baptized myself, my mind was first in a really dark place because I had destroyed my friendship. And that sucked. I felt horrible. I felt like a selfish, evil person. And I probably was. But my mind was showing me that I needed change. And that anxiety spirals, the bad decisions, that self-loathing and hatred were all pointing me in a direction to go to therapy, to get medicated, to rebuild, because none of that would have happened without the destruction first. And therefore, I'm thankful for my struggles. But most people, they try to skip this failure part. They want a lesson without the cost. But the cost is what makes that lesson stick, because I probably knew that I needed to be a better person. But losing everything is what actually motivated me to improve. So even in your darkest moments, you can still have a little bit of confidence that, oh, wait, I can work my way out of this, because this is where greatness is formed. And I'll admit, a lot of times it might feel like you don't see the payoff, but I promise you that as the years add up in your 20s, it will. It compounds. We're compounding growth here. So sometimes it's going to look like boom, 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 boom. This is your growth. And then bam, and then goes back down. Boom, 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 bam, back down. But it works, bro. I promise you. And I promise that, I keep saying I promise, I'm sorry. Survival, freedom, and purpose are three things that every human needs. And most people only optimize for one, which is usually just survival. So when failure is what forces you to recalibrate, you must focus your energy towards the other two, which is freedom and purpose. And when you destroy a friendship or you lose something in the survival category, social safety and familiar comfort are usually what you're going to run towards. But more often than not, the solution is finding a purpose and figuring out what you actually want to be, because failure is usually your life forcing some type of recalibration towards one of these pillars that you've been neglecting. And the trap is mediocrity, because if you're too comfortable with just your current state, then you never fail, and you're just focused on survival, and therefore you never grow and find meaning. And so that middle is the most dangerous place. And that's why you need to have some sanctity and happiness that you're fucking up, that you don't know where you're going to be, because that discomfort is what will breed success. Like, let's take Kobe. Kobe Bryant missed more shots than almost anyone in NBA history, but he never feared missing, because missing meant that he took the shot, and not taking the shot was the only actual failure. Every miss was building something that eventually won championships. And that's why he was the most clutch player ever, because he had that confidence, and he had skill too. But that confidence and self-belief is the root and foundation of any skill that you will gain. And my fourth premise is you got to have fun, bro. You got to enjoy life. And this is the one that nobody says, because we're all always talking about this sacrifice and this fucking grind and putting our head down. And yeah, that's real as fuck. But if you spend your entire 20s optimizing, for a future version of yourself, that you forget to be alive right now, bro, you're not going to grow at all. Because yes, legacy matters, but so does tomorrow. And having fun is not the opposite of being serious about your life. It's the point of being serious about your life, is that you actually get to have some type of degree of enjoyment in this journey. Like, that's pretty amazing. And yeah, so you can work hard and you can actually enjoy life that you're building. And it's not just for the sake of working harder. So build a schedule that allows for both, have the grind, but also have the joy, be able to take a day off, go to the lake, go skinny dipping, eat some fucking ice cream, sit on your couch and watch your favorite YouTuber. It's okay. And having these moments of enjoyment, these moments of laziness will actually allow you to recharge your batteries to push towards success. And I'll give you a story. After hard sparrings, I always get ice cream. Is ice cream the best for me? Probably not. Makes me feel like a fat ass. But those moments where I'm exhausted, I'm beat up, and I'm just in the car just pigging out on some fucking some ice cream, like, bro, I am the happiness. And that specific moment is one of the most real that I feel alive in. And it's not about the win or the progress. It's just about the ice cream. And so those wordless moments of jumping in a river with friends and coming up with some crazy idea at midnight that you pursue frivolously, those moments are not distractions from work. They are the work of being humans. So go eat ice cream, go smoke some weed, go jump in a river and be happy. And Sartre actually talks about this. He said that existence precedes essence. So therefore, you're not your job title, you're not your degree, you're not your plan, you're not your fucking khakis. Fight Club quote. When you're fully present and actually present, you're none of those things. You're just senses in the moment. And so this ice cream after sparring is more valuable than anything else. It's actually more valuable than how I did in sparring, because everything that you are, everything that you experience is right here, right now. So you have more control than you realize. And the danger of the pure grind is that it turns you into just a machine rather than a person. So you finally become productive and you wake up one day and you're 35, financially stable, and you're wondering what's next, because now all of a sudden you have to rework your life to create its fucking meaning. Fuck that. I'll take an example. So Jiro, there's this guy named Jiro, very, very famous sushi chef. And he's this 85-year-old sushi chef, 3-time Michelin star, and one of the greatest alive. And the work and the joy are the same thing to him, because he believed that perfecting his art was enjoying his art. And that's what allowed him to work so far and so late into his life and become such a successful sushi chef, because he loved his craft. And so that goes back to the purpose, is that you must always have happiness as your core pillar. And yes, happiness can be hard to achieve, but making sure that you make it a priority will allow you to actually grow into satisfaction. And yeah, so I'll admit, these are my takes, but I'm 23. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm making videos that pay nothing, training MMA with no financial upside, and I just left the consulting track that made sense on paper for something else that can seem delusional to many people. But you know what? I don't give a fuck, because I know that these 4 pillars, these 4 things, believe in something. And if you believe in nothing, believe in yourself. And failure is necessary. And 4, to have fun, are what are guiding me towards happiness, satisfaction, and success. And somewhere between the baptism and the ice cream, I think that I'm figuring it out. And you will too. Not because someone tells you how, but because you'll manufacture the moments that show you your path towards success. And that's all I've got. But I promise you've got it too. So let me know. How are you defining your success? What's your game plan? What are you struggling with? Leave some comments below and let's chat about it. Kudos. Good luck.